Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. We're live on Rumble, live on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, the Died Suddenly platform, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. Of course, the Shannon Joy Show available via audio on any of your favorite podcast platforms. So thrilled to be working with Terry Littlepage over at Spreely TV, who is helping to push out the Shannon Joy Show via audio. And yes, it is Monday, October 20th, like a fire hose in my face. Every week, the news headlines, the 24/7 news cycle, relentless. And of course, here we are on the Shannon Joy Show. I am right there with you, white knuckled on this roller coaster, not left, not right, just the news every day without the partisan spin. And wow, there was a lot going on over the weekend. Zen Woman, I see you on the live chat. Let's say hello to the most amazing live chatters, commentators on the face of the planet. Our Rumble live chat heating up already. We have Opossum King joining us as the very first chatter of the day. Guitar Lily is with us. Psyched for Maria Zeee. She lives in Texas now and went from the frying pan into the fire. Poor Maria Zeee. She was in the belly of the beast in Australia, especially during the dark days of COVID lockdown and the rollout of the forced jabs, some of the worst totalitarian policies on the face of the planet. In Australia, Maria Zeee was an amazing reporter. She joined us on the Shannon Joy Show multiple times during that time. She has since moved to the United States of America, to the great state of Florida, which many mistakenly believe is a bastion of freedom and liberty because it's a so-called red state, as we have learned from Dr. Mary Talley Bowden and Dr. Peter McCullough. Texas was one of the worst lockdown states in the United States of America and rolled out some of the most draconian COVID policies of any of the states, and also engaged in the worst political persecution of a medical doctor we have witnessed here in the United States of America, and that is via the Texas Medical Board of Dr. Mary Talley Bowden. By the way, the Texas Medical Board works at the pleasure of the governor of Texas, who is a Republican, Greg Abbott. And so now we are beginning to see that not only was Texas the worst of the worst when it came to COVID atrocities and lockdowns, they are also the hub for the expansion of the technocratic police state, techno-fascism. The majority of the massive data processing plant projects are happening in the state of Texas. And now, as Maria Zeee and Aaron Day and many others who are reporting on technocracy are beginning to realize, they are at the epicenter of the rollout of, yes, a digital ID in the United States of America. According to Maria Zeee, Texas is going to implement a UK-style digital ID, while Mike Lee, of all people, a Republican from the great state of Utah, is leading a nationwide charge with copycat federal bills that look to expand the usage and the mandatory usage of national digital IDs. And they're doing this under the guise of protecting your children from super scary bad apps on the internet. So as you can see in the show notes of today's show, Texans will be required, if they get their way, to present a digital ID to access the internet if Republicans in Texas get their way. Even more concerning is that the Trump administration is moving in the same direction with their alliance with big tech and the big tech bros, people like Peter Thiel, Palantir, OpenAI. And we've seen this in one press conference and announcement after another over the past 8 months. So the Trump administration is now moving to lock this in with legislation, and Senator Mike Lee is presenting similar federal legislation to what we're seeing in Texas. We absolutely, positively must resist this effort. When totalitarian comes in the form of a Democratic presidency, we should resist it. And when it comes in the form of a Republican presidency under Trojan horse Donald Trump, we should also be standing up and speaking out. But Mike Lee and, tragically, Senator Ted Cruz are the two Republicans that are pushing these. We have another story linked here in the show notes of today's show. Ted Cruz is also pimping the technocracy with the Sandbox Act, which gives teeth to the AI action plan that was detailed by the World Economic Forum. So this is going to take out all of the guardrails in certain geographic areas so that they can test and train new AI models, new modes of government surveillance, and digital surveillance, among other things. So that is linked up. We are going to welcome the Maria Zeee right here in the Joy Virtual Studio at about 1 p.m. Eastern time today. So, Guitar Lily, I am super psyched for Maria Zeee as well. This language and in these two legislative pushes, again, it's always the top down and the bottom up. There's someone leading the charge from the state level, and then you have copycat or similar legislation at the federal level. And tragically, Mike Lee, once again, is violating his position that he is a conservative, very similar to the violation in Trump's first administration, when Mike Lee joined up with Kim Kardashian and Puff Daddy, or whoever that was, Sean Combs, with Soros-approved legislation. It was criminal justice reform called the First Step Act, and it was Mike Lee that pushed that out. It is responsible. That is federal legislation that mirrored dozens and dozens of state legislation called jailbreak. This is what Daniel Horowitz referred to it as in 2017 and 2018. But all of the lawlessness and the refusal to arrest criminals and imprison them, prosecute them, and take them off the streets, a lot of the violence that we're seeing in states like Chicago and California, and even in some red states, this is coming from criminal justice reform legislation. And that legislation was pushed by Republican Mike Lee, also supported by Ted Cruz as well, signed into law by Donald Trump, some of the most sweeping criminal justice reform that we've seen in this country. And it wasn't the Democrats that did it. It was Trump who built that infrastructure. Daniel Horowitz did some of the best reporting on that back in 2017 and 2018. And we're seeing now a similar push to what we saw during Trump's first administration. Federal legislation along with state-led legislation by so-called conservatives. And it's all happening in the state of Texas. So very important reporting today by Maria Zeee. Again, these are bills which will authorize third-party vendors to access and control the collection of and potential distribution of very valuable, very private information on every parent across the country. And this is for their ability to access the internet, or their children's ability to access the internet. And of course, this is concerning because these initiatives will eventually empower the government and third-party partners to collect, analyze, and weaponize every American's private data. So this is a clear and direct violation of the Fourth Amendment and Fourth Amendment protections, and we must mobilize to oppose. Interestingly enough, at the No Kings rallies that swept across the United States of America on Saturday this past weekend, which, by the way, I attended, and I have video on what went down when I went to a No Kings rally in my little village of Fairport, New York. Right down the street from my house, I would say 2,000 to 3,000, maybe 4,000 people showing up on Saturday. And you will not believe what my takeaway was from that excursion. I posted about it on Twitter, and I just have all kinds of thoughts about what I saw and where we are in the United States of America today regarding the two-party political system and just how messed up everything is and how warped everyone is. So many Americans just so confused about what is going on, and two political parties lying to them and leading them down a wrong path. And so I have a lot to say about the No Kings rally, which we'll discuss in just a few moments here on the Shannon Joy Show before we bring Maria Zeee in. But Tom Renz even had someone, for those of you who don't believe me, that Donald Trump and his tech bros and Peter Thiel and Ted Cruz and Mike Lee, along with legislators and governors in red states like the state of Texas, are going full force, pedal to the metal, 100 miles an hour towards the digital police state. Just listen to what Tom Renz had to say about it, because Tom Renz, of course, supported, endorsed President Trump, supported and endorsed the Republican Party. He has typically been very supportive of their agenda items, but even he is ringing the alarm bells. And this is what Renz had to say about this recent effort and this recent push to expand the digital surveillance state. Let's roll the tape.
We're creating a public-private partnership structure where the American people will be tracked and traced entirely, where control will be top-down, and it's going to be a disaster second to none. The United States of America is facilitating track and trace, digital ID, all the stuff that we see that we're complaining about in Europe, but they're doing it in backdoor ways by passing bills that have the same effect as passing online digital universal ID, track and trace type thing, but doing so under false pretenses. We're pushing this legislation, and our senators don't know, our congressmen don't know. The GOP, listen, I know I grumble about the GOP. I don't for a second believe that the GOP would in any way, shape, or form support this if they understood what was going on here. I don't believe Mike Lee would sponsor this bill if he understood what was actually happening.
What do you guys think about that statement from Tom Renz, right? It's once again, poor little dummy Republicans are being duped and tricked into pushing legislation that they have no idea, how this is going to shred our Constitution and enslave so many Americans to that digital police state. And once again, I hear this type of mantra from commentators on the right time and time again. It's not their fault. They were tricked. They had bad advisors, right? Poor little victim Trump, poor little victim Mike Lee. Last I checked, Mike Lee is a seasoned and experienced United States senator. He is also a constitutional conservative attorney. So I believe he has a law degree like Senator Ted Cruz as well. This idea that they have no idea about the implications of the bills that they are pushing, spearheading, promoting, that, the same could be said for Mike Lee when he pushed the First Step Act. He has no idea what he's doing. Well, believe me, we told Mike Lee exactly what he was doing. There was an enormous amount of pushback in 2017 and 18 against the First Step Act, which led Mike Lee to have to write a very detailed op-ed defending it and acknowledging all of the problems that we were pointing out. So there is no scenario in which I believe that Mike Lee does not understand the implications of what he is pushing out. But again, this is a tactic of the right. It is the victimization. It's a victim play, right? So that we feel sorry for these guys and they don't understand, as opposed to they know exactly what they're doing, and they're probably doing it because they're getting paid to do so, because there is a lobbying initiative or some other type of corruption. The right uses this for Donald Trump all the time as well. Poor little rich boy, poor baby Donald Trump doesn't understand what Operation Warp Speed is going to do to fertility, to the American people. He doesn't understand what the legislation that he passes, the debt and deficit spending. He doesn't understand what lockdowns are going to do. He's been lied to by his advisors, right? It's always a displacement of blame away from the people who should be bearing responsibility. And this happens time and time again. And this is now he hasn't even passed this yet. And you are already watching conservatives batten down the hatchets, right? And prepare to protect the guys who are going to push this stuff forward. No, you don't give these guys a pass, and you don't give them milk away for free, Tom Renz. You don't support these guys, give them the benefit of the doubt, and, act incredulous that they could possibly push something like this and not have any idea of what they're doing. No, you withhold support. You withhold nice headlines. You don't let them get away with that. And this is the problem with the right today, is that, so many are in a position of promotion and protection in right-leaning media outlets that they're letting these guys get away with these things. I had this response, and this is what he wrote. He said, the feds are sneaking a digital ID track and trace through the back door with bills like the App Store Accountability Act and the Real ID. Tech lobbyists have duped good guys like Senator Mike Lee with kid safety lies, but it's a Trojan horse for control. The GOP would flip out if they knew the truth. Our privacy is dying fast. Well, why don't you alert them to that? And I hope that Tom Renz will alert them to that. I hope that he picks up the phone and gives a phone call to his buddy Mike Lee to explain to him exactly how bad this is. But I guarantee you that Mike Lee and Ted Cruz are not going to back off of this. Neither is Donald Trump, because there's too much money in it. They were purchased by the big tech bros and the tech oligarchs in the summer of 2024. And I don't think that they can walk this back. It's going to be up to we, the people of the United States of America, to push back. But unfortunately, there is no pushback from we, the people, or conservatives, or Christians, or constitutionalists, or Republicans. Well, because everybody is anesthetized into this false sense of security because their guy is in the Oval Office. And so there is absolutely no pushback. This is why I went to the No Kings rally on Saturday, because I don't have anyone to rally with. There are a lot of things that are of great concern to many Americans from both sides of the political aisle, the left and the right. Concerns about the economy and inflation, profligate spending, corruption within Washington, D.C., pay to play, insider trading. There is great concern about the trade war, which could expand into a kinetic war, which could lead to World War III and potentially nuclear war. Very strong concerns about the rhetoric and the actions of this president, which are alienating so many of our trading partners across the globe and could put not only the United States economy, our own businesses and our own families on the firing line for economic devastation, but they could also lead to, as I mentioned, full-scale kinetic war. People are worried about prices. People are worried about the growth of the surveillance state, the digital technocracy. Massive data centers, thousands of them being built across the country to suck up and surveil every American's information. These are concerns that are shared by many on the conservative side of the political aisle, but are also shared by people on the Democratic side of the political aisle. And that's why my eyes were opened over the weekend when I decided to attend a No Kings rally. And we're going to have that discussion just a little bit later here on the Shannon Joy Show. I have some video for you as well. Another headline in the top headlines for October 20, 2025. International Judicial Authority declares that mRNA injections are biological and technological weapons of mass destruction. We're going to be talking with Dr. William Makis again this week on Wednesday. He is joining us again in the Joy Virtual Studio. We're going to talk about cures to spike protein poisoning, the turbo cancers, how to stay healthy and remain healthy. And we're also going to go over some of the latest headlines with Dr. William Makis. Absolutely killer interview with him last week. We didn't have enough time with him. We were talking about the mechanisms of harm, how these cancers are being caused by COVID shots, which no one on the right or left will talk about. And we didn't have enough time to get into cures and how you can protect your family and stay healthy. So we're going to be focusing our discussion on that. with Dr. William Mackis this Wednesday here on the Shannon Joy Show. Also, some great interviews lined up. As you know, 1 p.m.-ish Eastern time, we're going to be bringing Maria Zeee. She is an amazing investigative reporter, independent, originally from Australia, now hailing from the great state of Texas, to talk about the Texas push for digital ID. That's coming up at the top of the hour here. Tomorrow, in our focus on the technocracy and the expansion of the technocratic police state, Aaron Day is joining us tomorrow to talk not only about gold and silver, what is happening with crypto, Bitcoin, as the economy continues to unravel right before our very eyes. Inflation, as far as the eye can see, $50,000 is now the average price for a car, a new car in the United States of America. Also, another headline showing that more and more Americans are renting rather than owning homes because it is the more affordable option for them. The dream of home ownership slipping away for so many Americans. Absolutely tragic. Aaron Day joins us tomorrow in the Joy Virtual Studio. On Wednesday, mark your calendars. Do not miss this, 6 p.m. Eastern time. It is another technocratic roundtable featuring Patrick Wood, Aaron Day, Courtney Turner, among others. And we are going to be live streaming that Technocracy Roundtable right here on the Shannon Joy Show Network at 6 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday, among other platforms. They are going to focus exclusively on the hijacking of MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. You remember when Bobby Kennedy Jr. stood up, testified in front of Congress that he wanted to see every American on a wearable within 4 years. That is a wearable device that collects biometric data. They are going to make the case that MAHA, the medical freedom movement, has been hijacked by big tech, the big tech oligarchs, and they are going to use that to expand and normalize the biometric collection of data on nearly every American. They're also going to be talking about nanotechnologies and the attempt to inject certain surveillance mechanisms into human beings themselves, so they can not only collect data on the physical world, the natural world, and every human existing in the natural world, but they want to go under the skin, as Yuval Harari mentioned in one of his speeches at the World Economic Forum. They want all of your data, including what is happening inside your body. And that is why they need thousands of Manhattan-sized data collection centers connected to nuclear reactors across the United States of America, because the economy of the future is all about owning you, owning every American from the moment you were born until your natural or unnatural death. They will be profiting off of the human body. It is techno-slavery. It is a new techno-feudalism, and they would like to see every single human being cataloged, surveilled, data collected on you, and likely used against you. That's why this is such an important roundtable. We are going to be, as I mentioned, live streaming that right here on the Shannon Joy Show Rumble channel and across the SJ Network on Wednesday. Can't wait to see what they have to say. Brett Miller on Thursday will be with us to talk about protecting your data. He is the CEO of Galileo, and we're going to be talking about how you can protect your data, how you can protect your privacy, your Fourth Amendment, constitutional rights, and that's going to be a great conversation with Brett as well. So we have a huge, huge week coming up of really great guests, and we're just, again, going to plow through these headlines as best we can. MAV 2022, let's say hello. Let's go back to the live chat. I see you, MAV 2022. Over the weekend, I went to the Erie Canal to bike. Can't believe I didn't see you, MAV 2022. I was there as well, not on the Erie Canal, but I was on Main Street in the Village of Fairport, massive rally. He said, started going out to my usual spot, bike in tow, and landed smack dab in the middle of a huge No Kings protest. Well, I was there as well, MAV 2022, and you guys are going to see the video of that in just a minute after we go to our first break. Dying to know how you guys feel about the No Kings protest. This was a statement from Alex Zach, which I actually agree with, regarding the No Kings movement. And again, over the weekend, well, why don't we go to break first? We're going to go to break first, and then we'll talk about No Kings. I'll get some of your comments on the live chat. Again, we have a great spicy live chat here today on the Shannon Joy Show. Opossum King with us. Buskman is with us. Karen Carpenter 27. Great to see you as well. Ralph the Flying Dutchman is with us on the live chat. I just watched Greg Hunter and Catherine Austin Fitts. She's so busy. I've been working on Catherine Austin Fitts. Apparently, Greg Hunter got to her before I could, but I will continue to reach out to Catherine to see if we can't get her on for next week. I will absolutely be watching. She's one of the clearest truth tellers out there today. Buskman, I see you on the live chat as well. Strident Conservative with this gem. Mike Lee also pushed Ivanka's feminist agenda in Trump's first term, and he has that linked to one of his stories. My Strident Conservative has been so consistent over the past couple years, and yeah, Mike Lee. Yeah, CJP Rumble. Mike Lee is one of the smartest guys up there, and all of a sudden he can't read a piece of legislation that he is co-authoring and actually promoting. Yeah, I don't buy it, Tom Renz. And frankly, I think Tom Renz is way too intelligent to buy that either. There is no way that these guys do not understand the implications of what they are pushing. And they are just completely bought in. And I think that Patrick Wood had a great response to the Sandbox Act that is also being pushed by Ted Cruz. So Ted Cruz and Mike Lee are, it appears, spearheading the expansion of the techno-fascist police state, surveillance state from the federal level, and they're wrapping it up in conservative rhetoric to trick people into voting for their bills. But believe me, they're not the ones being tricked. These guys are way too smart for that. And this is what Patrick Wood had to say about Ted Cruz. Beware Ted Cruz. He is the Trojan horse for technocracy and the arch technocrats in Washington, D.C., who want to destroy America. Cruz's creation of the Sandbox Act provides shoe leather for the AI action plan that was released on July 23rd on the White House website. The plan was authored by David Sachs and Michael Christosos, both appointed and accountable only to the President of the United States of America. And that's why I call him Trojan Trump. The con is to set AI free of all regulation so that it can pummel Americans into submission to AI government. The sandbox refers to a computer industry setup where a defined space is created for anything goes experimentation. Arizona State University set up sandboxes in Maricopa County using high-speed 5G to let startups develop and test their wares on unsuspecting citizens. Kratsios pivoted to this definition when he said, I have personally seen the power of these sandboxes to be able to allow great American minds and innovators to actually put their tools to the test in real life simulations. You will also see that Cruz has been kept captive by the evil and stupid philosophy of accelerationism, which says that technology must be accelerated even to the breaking point to cause radical societal transformation. And that is because of the big, bad, nasty Chinese technocrats. So that's where they're gearing us up all to go, right? We need to engage in the race war. We need to this is the removal of liability for AI companies, data companies, and tech companies in these defined sandbox spaces, which they're going to deploy across the country. But this is going to accelerate all of the bad things and give full liability protection to not only pharmaceutical companies who are still enjoying liability protection, even though this president and the conservatives ran on removing liability protections from the pharmaceutical corporations. Not only do these pharma companies still have those liability protections, but this administration and Ted Cruz and Mike Lee and Republicans are expanding those protections, copying and pasting them to AI companies and tech companies as well. It's the worst of every world. And it's all wrapped up in a conservative bow to protect the children from big, bad, nasty online applications. Unbelievable. They're going to use other, red leaning rhetoric to push this stuff as well. Thank you. This is also linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show today on the Sandbox, but thank you to Patrick Wood for that opinion. So this is this among other things, the technocracy, digital surveillance, the shredding of our constitution, the shredding of our First Amendment rights, going after people for political rhetoric, especially regarding Charlie Kirk and what happened to Charlie Kirk. All of this is what is concerning so many Americans. And this is why I think millions upon millions of Americans turned out for No Kings rallies across the weekend. We were told by the right that they would be astroturfed, full of illegal immigrants, full of Antifa, that they were going to burn cities to the ground. In fact, people encouraged me not to go to my neighborhood No Kings rally because it was going to be violent and it was going to be crazy leftists, LGBTQ wackos out there, everything that you can imagine, every stereotype or characterization that the right has made about the left. And believe me, the left makes a ton of characterizations about the right that are false. But that wasn't what I saw when I went to the No Kings rally. I walked down, and when we come back, we're going to have a discussion about what you guys think about the No Kings rally. What I saw, we'll share that video, and then we will bring in just a bit Maria Zeee to talk about the push for the digital police state, or the digital surveillance state in Texas. But before we go to break, I do want to talk about kimchi. So we are so thankful for our sponsors here on the Shannon Joy Show. And one of our most amazing sponsors are the folks over at Brightcore. Please go to mybrightcore.com/joy. That's mybrightcore.com/joy. Right now, they are giving away free bottles of vitamin D3. That is completely free. They will ship them to you. And this is for the Joy audience exclusively, only from Brightcore. I love their product. They want all of you to try an amazing product called kimchi. Now, if you don't love fermented cabbage, fermented garlic, among other ingredients in kimchi, which has been proven to have amazing health benefits, you can now get kimchi in a very convenient capsule that gives all of the great benefits of kimchi without the messy, smelly, actual kimchi. And this is why I love this product. I've been using it every single day for my gut health. It can also help you with post-vaccination resilience. So this is from their website, and I thought this was amazing. As you know, we'll talk to Dr. Makis about this on Wednesday when he comes in, but spike proteins are now recognized as a leading cause of vaccine injury. mRNA vaccines instruct your cells to produce these harmless proteins so that the immune system can build defenses. But research is now showing that the spike proteins interact with blood vessel linings and platelets, driving clotting and inflammation. This is no longer theoretical. Evidence is confirming now widespread harms affecting millions who are unaware of this connection. Researchers have also found that the gut microbial balance strongly influences inflammation, immune resilience, and recovery after vaccination. Their conclusion, here it is: the best way to build resilience is by increasing microbial diversity and a balanced gut. 85% good gut bacteria to 15% bad. And you can get this through powerful probiotics such as kimchi. With Kimchi One, you're not only just supporting your gut, you're building resilience against one of the most toxic injections we have ever seen. So you can now not only get a free bottle for the Joy audience of vitamin D3 with your purchase, but you can get 50% off your kimchi. Go to mybrightcore.com/joy right now. That is mybrightcore.com/joy to check out their amazing offer, learn all about kimchi and all of the amazing health benefits that you will get. It's something that I use every single day, and I've seen a huge difference. All right, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue this discussion and take a look at what happened to me when I went to the No Kings rally in my town. It made a lot of people mad. In fact, a lot of people on the MAGA right are super mad at me for going to the My Kings rally, but I think you guys are going to be shocked at what I found. So we're going to look at that video when we come back right here on the Shannon Joy Show. To shout out one of our amazing sponsors over at Relief Band. So this product has been an absolute game changer for my family and my daughter Mimi. We do a lot of traveling. She is a beach volleyball player. She's going to go play Division I beach volleyball down in the great state of Tennessee, which is super exciting, but we are in the car all the time. And the poor girl has struggled with severe nausea and headaches and car sickness her entire life, ever since she was a tiny little baby. She would get sick 15 minutes in the car, and it's just made for some really difficult traveling. Well, Relief Band, it's been a game changer. It's been an absolute miracle. Right now, we have an exclusive offer for the Joy audience and for Shannon Joy Show listeners on the podcast. If you go to reliefband.com, that's reliefband.com right now, use the promo code JOY and you will receive 20% off plus free shipping. So it's Relief Band, ReliefBand.com, and use the promo code JOY for 20% off plus free shipping. I want to talk quickly, though, about Rocket Dollar. They are new sponsors of the Shannon Joy Show. You guys are going to meet Henry Yoshida. We're going to do a full hour on the economic pain, inflation, and what regular Americans can do to protect themselves as we move towards recession, potentially depression, and conceivably even a currency collapse. You need to protect yourself. You need to protect your family. And one of the ways that you can do that is through a self-directed IRA. Go to rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy today. There's a free guide that you can sign up for where you can learn all about how to take control of your investments and your retirement. You can do that through Rocket Dollar. It is rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy. That is rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy to learn about how you can invest in real estate using your own hard-earned retirement savings. First, a quick word from our sponsor over at Kimchi One from Brightcore. This is an amazing product. You guys know I've been focusing on my gut. It's something that I haven't really paid attention to for most of my adult life, but we need that good 85 to 15% good bacteria to bad bacteria in our gut. And here's some interesting information. Did you know that U.S. life expectancy peaked at 78 years in 2014, and global life expectancy is declining for the first time in 30 years? And this is because people are aging faster than ever before. Why? Because of toxins in the air, chemicals in our soil, in our food, and other external factors, including mass vaccination, that are new to these generations. And what people don't know is that we can actually fight aging on a cellular level. And Kimchi One is one of the ways that you can begin to fight that battle. I take it every day, 3 capsules. It's 100% made in the USA, all natural, non-GMO, and it will support your gut. Right now, Kimchi One is 50% off, 50, but that is only if you use the toll-free number. Call them, have a conversation, 888-912-4317. Right now, limited time, 50% off, free shipping, and they are giving away a free bottle of vitamin D3, which is like a $30 value in and of itself. This is just for the Joy audience. So you have to go to mybrightcore.com/joy. That is mybrightcore.com/joy. The 800 number is right there. If you use the promo code JOY, you'll get a straight up 25% off. But, let's have the conversation. Give them a call. Again, 888-912-4317. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. We have the Maria Zeee all queued up and ready to go. We're going to bring her in just about 10 to 15 minutes. I believe she just finished up her show, so we're going to give her a little bit of time to catch her breath and get ready. But we do want to talk about that No Kings protest. Okay, so lots of discussion on social media over the No Kings protests. This rolled out over the weekend on Saturday. This is from Reuters reporting. Protesters spanning all age groups took to the streets en masse for the No Kings rallies across the U.S. on Saturday, denouncing what they view as authoritarian tendencies and unbridled corruption of U.S. President Donald Trump. Organizers expected millions of people to turn out in more than 2,600 planned rallies in major cities, small towns, and suburbs, challenging the Trump-led agenda that has reshaped the government, talking about things like the most executive orders and executive memorandums and emergency declarations of any president in U.S. history, evidence of insider trading, pump and dump schemes, and pay to play from this administration in broad daylight in front of everyone, the profligate debt and deficit spending, and the expansion of tariffs, which are actually taxes that are impacting and crushing every American as we're watching record-breaking inflation roll out. So yes, these rallies were promoted and pushed out by left-leaning groups, likely groups like George Soros, and I believe there were some other left-leaning groups that pushed out all of the information. But I can assure you, from my perspective, didn't look like AstroTurf to me. I recognized so many of my neighbors at the No Kings rally in my village of Fairport. And I'm sorry, you can't get, I mean, there are reports now that this may have broken the record as one of the single day largest protests in the history of the United States of America when you take cumulatively all 2,600 locations. So there were events in Boston, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Denver, Chicago, Seattle, New York State, obviously as well, Texas, Florida, red states. There were No Kings rallies also in San Diego. And here in the Reuters, what was interesting about this piece, they did get while these rallies were primarily attended by Democrats, they look to be, from my perspective, moderate Democrats. From what I saw, a lot of regular people, moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, a ton of kids, tons of American flags. I'm so sorry. No Antifa whatsoever. In fact, these rallies were completely peaceful. I don't know that there was any. I think the New York rally had tens of thousands of people, and there was not a single incident of even one arrest in the New York rally. So these were largely peaceful. And honestly, guys, the rally that I attended on Saturday looked a lot like the rallies that we put together, that we organized during the dark days of the lockdowns of 2020 and the rollout of the COVID shots and the mandates in 2021. The only difference is they turned out a lot more people. There is some type of apparatus that the Democrats have to turn out people. Now, are these people doing it for the right reasons? Probably not. But here in Reuters, they do say they have Republicans that gave statements. Kevin Bray, 70, a military veteran, was among thousands of the protesters. Streaming to the riverfront of Portland, Oregon. He wore a black sweatshirt emblazoned with the slogan, "No Kings since 1776. regarding or referring to the year of the Declaration of Independence. He said this: "Everything I thought that I stood for while I was serving in the military seems to be at risk," Bryce said. "So even though I'm a lifelong Republican, I don't support the direction that the party is going." Steve Klopp, 74, a Houston-based oil industry retiree, expressed similar sentiment as he wore a shirt printed with the words "former Republican." He said, "I've been a Republican forever. My family's been Republican forever and ever. And the idea that one individual could have turned me away from the Republican Party is insane." Kelly Kinsella, 38, standing among several thousand people in Colorado, she was dressed as Lady Liberty with bloody tears dripping from her face. She said, "Everyone is coming to work stressed." These are all self-identified Republicans. "Everyone is coming to work stressed, and it's because of the current conditions." She said she was motivated to turn out largely because of renewed inflation, and she blamed that on Trump's tariff policies, tariff taxes, as we would call them. Trump had little to say about the Saturday protest, but he did push out a meme, which is vile, horrifying, and disgusting, of himself with a crown, flying a plane all over the United States of America and dumping feces on American protesters exercising their First Amendment rights peacefully, which really does go to show you exactly how he feels about we the people of the United States of America. The sentiments that were reported here by Reuters of former Republicans or Republicans mirror a lot of the sentiments that I have. And I am also a former Republican, as you guys know. I voted Republican for 20 years, card-carrying Republican voter, listened to Rush Limbaugh every day, in my 20s and 30s, and didn't rip up my Republican card until about a year or two after the Trump administration, the first Trump administration. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I never supported him, didn't vote for him, and sat back and reported on his administration in 2016, 2017, 2018. And it was right around 2017, 2018 that I ripped up my Republican card and never looked back. I've been fully independent ever since, but I have never forgotten my Constitution or conservatism or my belief in the Constitution. And I think that's how a lot of people are feeling. And you don't turn out millions. I mean, the aerial footage of these rallies, absolutely stunning. The amount of people that turned out. There is no way that AstroTurf could accomplish that. Yes, this was driven by Democrat operatives and left-leaning tyrants like George Soros, but the people that they turned out were Americans. And that is what I saw when I walked down the street, literally one block, to the No Kings rally in my little village of Fairport, New York, situated on the beautiful Erie Canal in the Finger Lakes region of New York State. And this is what I saw. I thought I would share the video with all of you and get your thoughts about what we saw. If you want to go ahead, TJ, and roll that tape, then we'll have a little discussion here when we come back. All right, guys, it is me, Shannon Joy, and I am at the No Kings rally, Pray for the Poor, in Fairport, New York. This is my stomping ground. I live right in this neighborhood. Hey, TJ. And a lot of very normal, lovely Americans standing up, speaking out. Some great signs. There we go. Now, granted, as you guys all know, these are probably all Democrats, and none of them were standing up during the dark days of the lockdowns of 2020 and into the regime of the Biden administration. But, you know, I'm asking myself, where are the conservatives? Where are the constitutionalists? You guys know everything that we have been detailing about this Trump administration and the shredding of our Constitution. I mean, this is just a massive, massive protest. It's probably 6 full blocks of, I would say, easily 2,000 people, I would say. And no Antifa, no roving marauders or violence. It's regular people and a lot of great signs. A lot of I love America, I love my country, protect democracy, freedom of speech. Certainly they don't like Trump, but I think it's bigger than that, and I feel great comfort knowing that
fellow Americans are standing up and speaking out, remembering our liberty, our founding principles, and the Constitution. And even if it's for the wrong reasons, again, you know, no one was standing up when many of us were getting arrested for not wearing masks or fired for not taking vaccines. And you know, these movements are always slightly hypocritical, but I would say to those who stood up in 2020 and 21, where are you now? Because these types of tyrannies are happening in both administrations. It was rampant in the first Trump administration, continued through the Biden administration, and now it's ramping up again in Trump's second reign. So hopefully at some point, the two sides can come together and all protest together for liberty and freedom. But, you know, these are regular people. It's nothing that you've likely been told about these rallies. And I, for one, have decided that, in general, the enemy of liberty is my enemy, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so you will probably see me for the next decade at every rally that is standing up for our Constitution and our God-given right to speak up and speak out, challenge our government, stand up for separation of powers, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and regardless of who is in the Oval Office or which administration is in charge, I'm going to be standing with the people who are standing up for the Constitution. So this has been pretty great. I literally live right around the corner, so I'm going to pop back home and have a cup of coffee with devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy, and just continue to stand with the people who are standing for freedom. All right, guys, I'm out.
Hey guys, it's me again, Shannon Joy, with some final thoughts about the No Kings rally in Fairport, New York. As you can see, I'm heading home, walking back to the Joy homestead here in the village of Fairport. And, you know, I come away from this really double-minded about what I saw, right? Like, what did I see? Regular American people, all registered Democrats, I'm sure. They probably all voted for Biden. They probably all sat back during the dark days of 2020, during the tyranny and the fascism of the Biden administration. They had nothing to say. I mean, I saw a bunch of my neighbors here today. God bless them. None of them had anything to say when I was arrested for not wearing a mask properly at a school board meeting, or when the government sent armed, police officers to my house to intimidate my family over quarantine orders during the dark days of lockdown, you know, and some of them were outright hostile to me about it. But here I find myself standing with them because I agree that Trump is very dangerously expanding the power of the federal government, particularly at the executive level, with more executive orders and emergency declarations and presidential memorandums than any president in U.S. history. It's a massive consolidation of power. And we're also seeing, obviously, extraordinary military powers as they are sending the troops to cities like Chicago, blowing up potentially fishing boats abroad. It's pretty extraordinary. And then also, of course, the massive expansion of the digital surveillance state and the police state, in addition to financial crimes, right? The insider trading, the pump and dump schemes, the pay to play, right in our faces. You know, we just learned that the Trump administration, or the Trump family, has made over $1 billion in crypto, I believe, in just the last 8 months. So, I mean, it's extraordinary. It's just as bad as the Biden administration, if not worse. So I find myself wondering, why is it, you know, and I wanted to have conversations with some of those people who were protesting, and I chickened out. And I really just wanted to ask them. I wanted to say, like, hey, I agree with you. This is really bad. But where were you during the Biden administration? Where were you during the lockdowns? There were blatant, you know, anti-democracy, anti-constitution actions taken by your own guys. I just, you know, come away thinking that we are hopelessly divided in this country. And while I stand with everyone who's standing up for the Constitution, I also feel like if we can't figure out a way to get enough Americans from both sides of the political aisle to take down their barriers and realize that both parties play us against each other and expand their powers for the next party to come in and weaponize them, that we're not going to get, this is like a doom cycle. It's a death spiral that this country is in. I agree with Ray Dalio. Just a day or two ago, someone asked him, can we get out of this pickle? I mean, we are in a death spiral in this country. And he said, if enough middle Americans, like seriously middle, not normies, not idiots, but people who are normal, average Americans, unless they can come together from both sides of the aisle and actually see the villains for who they are. It's not a D or an R thing. It's a government corruption thing at the highest levels of power in the federal government. Then he doesn't see a way out. And so these are my takeaway thoughts from my little excursion down the street at the No Kings rally in Fairport, New York. There are thousands of these rallies all over the country. And gosh, I just wish we had the kind of mobilization organization that Democrats have, because let me tell you, I mean, when we protested, we were lucky to get 200-300 people. Man, they turned out 2,000-3,000 people just in my town. There is some type of local organization secret that, in a turnout secret that the Democrats have that, you know, I don't quite understand. But what am I even saying, right? Where are my fellow conservatives and Republicans who say they love the Constitution and that they're anti-fascists and that they love liberty? You can't say that and not be calling out this president, this administration, and the Republican Party right now. And those are just my thoughts about that. So that's all I have to say. I'm just about to come around the corner to my house, but I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And as best as you can, what is my advice in all of this? If you can shed the D or the R, the liberal or the conservative, and just look at things from the perspective of furthering and expanding the liberty and the flourishing of the average human being, rule of law, justice, common sense, peace, and start with the principles as opposed to the politicians or the political parties or the political movements, and build your decision making out from there, then I think that's a big step in moving forward in this country. Okay, so you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday on the Shannon Joy Show. Make sure you follow my Rumble channel, follow me here on Twitter, and if you want to sign up for daily e-blasts, go to www.theshannonjoy.com, theshannonjoy.com, and sign up for my daily email. You guys have a great day. We'll see. Welcome back, everyone. I see all of the comments here on the live chat. That was my little excursion. I wasn't planning on going. That's why I didn't have any makeup on. I didn't do my hair. I don't even think I showered. But I said to devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy, I'm like, I'm going to go down there. I'm going to go down there and see what this is all about. And when I tell you, I saw a ton of neighbors who totally shunned me, shut me down. I was like the woman, I was like the Scarlet Letter. Like there were so many neighbors there who were just terrible to so many of us during the dark days of COVID. Yet here they were, out there protesting what, who the tyrant they think is really going to take away their liberties. And it was really interesting. They were surprised to see me there. Like their eyebrows were raised, and no, Guitar Lily, there were the people there absolutely have jobs. When I mentioned there were a lot of parents, grandparents, kids, they were not handing out Taco Bell vouchers for people to come and show up. It was just regular people with American flags and signs. I love what Guitar Lily has to say on the live chat. The next rally needs a huge showing of Christians and libertarians. That's what I am talking about. I love the idea. My friends, my Democrat liberal friends, well, used to be friends who were down on the street corner when I said hello to them, you could tell they were a little pissed I was there. They're like, why is this girl appropriating our protest? And I really felt like that's what I was doing. I was saying, you know what? You don't get to have this protest to yourself about no kings. I don't think that there should ever be kings. And I don't think that you choosing your version of a king because you don't like the current version of the king right now is necessarily no kings. We should be consistent across the board. And when Democrats violate our Constitution and act like kings and monarchs, we should call them out. And when Republicans do the same, we should call them out as well. And if American people, both left and right, could do that in an even and balanced way, then maybe we could have nice things in this country. And I agree with what Alex Zach had to say about this. He said, let me know when the real No Kings, by the way, I'm going to continue to go to No Kings rallies. And maybe next time I won't chicken out and not have a conversation. I wasn't ready to have conversations because I wasn't planning on going in the first place. So I just kind of wanted to check it out, sit back, take some video, scope it out, see what was going on. And I just wasn't ready to get into it with people. But I have a feeling that I'm going to be going to every single No Kings protest. Maybe I'll set up a table. Maybe we'll have some man on the street interviews and ask these people. But I'm telling you right now, there were not crazy blue-haired LGBTQ trannies. There was no Antifa. There were no like marauding, illegal, violent, groups running around. Like, this was very Americana. It looked maybe it's for the wrong reasons, but these were regular people who were concerned about all of the same things that I am concerned about, and that those of you who watch the show are concerned about. And this is what Alex Zach said on Twitter. He said, let me know when the real No Kings movement begins. Maybe when we join it, Alex. Maybe if we join their No Kings movement and we appropriate it for ourselves along with them against the political elite in Washington, D.C., maybe that will be the beginning, but we have to break down barriers in order to do that. He said, I'll be there. And he goes on, not the one that says, we just want someone different in power, but the one that says, we reject the idea that any man or woman, irrespective of political side, has the right to wield authority over others simply because they hold the title of the presidency or political office. He said, the movement that recognizes the entire structure of centralized governance is inherently immoral because it maintains that itself through the manipulation, obfuscation, coercion, force, and the illusion of authority. The one that understands that true law is voluntary, grounded in mutual agreement, and that no lasting peace or freedom can come from the imposition of top-down control. It is at its nature bottom-up, organic, the family unit, the local community, state governance, all should wield far more power and authority than anyone in Washington, D.C., or in a position of centralized power, period. That is a real No Kings movement. And that movement should be occupied by both Democrats and Republicans. Until then, it's not No Kings, he said. It's we want our king instead of yours. And that is the key. That was the problem with Republicans who stood up against Biden, but retreated back when their king came into power, President Trump. It's the problem with the Democrats who supported Barack Obama and his initiatives, even when they were blatantly anti-constitutional, and supported Biden because he was their king, only to stand up and speak out when the king with the letter behind the name that they didn't like happens to be the one in power. Like, we have to stop doing that. And that is why all of our movements have been impotent. And that is why we never see any change at a systemic level, because we continue to engage in this doom cycle. So thank you, Alex Zach. And thank you, those of you who were bearing with me. I got a lot of mockery and pushback and feedback on all of that. And yeah, Mr. Worthless Leader. Shannon, you should go to those circus shows. Infiltrate and overflow. That's what and overthrow. That's what they're doing to us. Just be sure to disinfect thoroughly when you get home, LOL. These were fine people. These were a lot of very friendly, kind neighbors who I have a great relationship with were there, who just so happened to be Democrats. There were some insufferable ones as well, but a lot of really good people. And so we shouldn't be othering each other. And I think that maybe we can continue to do stuff like this. Mark the Regan. Remember, these protesters love vaccines. Well, we don't know about every protester. And I don't think that we should be painting with a broad brush. We need to stop doing that. We don't like it when they do it to us. We shouldn't do it to them. All right, we're going to go to A quick commercial break. Quick. And when we come back, we're going to bring in Maria Zeee. We're going to talk about the digital ID coming to the great state of Texas. It is out of the oven and into the frying pan for poor Maria Zeee. She came from Australia, moved to Texas, and now the digital ID is being expanded and pushed on the citizens of Texas as the state-led effort that also has a copycat federal effort as well, being led by none other than Republican Mike Lee and Republican Ted Cruz. We're going to be talking about that when we come back with the Maria Zeee in just a moment, right here on the Shannon Joy Show.
Have you thought about backup power for your home or office? Here at Satellite Phone Store, we are well aware of a lot of different scenarios where you may lose power. That could be anything from weather to emergency situations. And we are offering a simple, effective, expandable solution for your home, which is the EcoFlow Smart Home Panel.
This panel can be installed in line with the circuitry of your home or office. You have the option of 10 circuits that you wish to power in an emergency. This means that if you want to be selective on what needs power in an emergency situation, you can power just the vitals or more. What this means is that if you want, you can just distribute power to your kitchen, for example, giving you power to keep the refrigerator and cooking going without interruption. If you're in an office, this can serve to keep computers, hard drives, and servers running without interruption. More or less, this lets you tailor a system that lets you conserve and distribute power where you see fit. It is able to power water heaters, well pumps, and dryers. If the power goes down, it will automatically start powering your home in 20 milliseconds, making a seamless transition to backup power. The home panel works with the Delta Pro series, which is expandable. If you want a basic backup system, you can use just one, or plug in two at the same time, which are also capable of being daisy-chained to 2 more units and a smart generator, effectively giving you 25 kilowatt hours of power. If you want something to sustain you for longer, you can purchase as many units as you please as standby, that way you can alternate plugging into the system. The home panel will charge the units from the grid when they are not being used. And if you want, you can add solar panels to the system to continue charging your battery bank even if there's not power coming from the grid. There's also an option for a dual fuel generator that runs off of propane and gas. You need an app in order to set up your home panel. What you will be setting up is the voltage. You can customize the circuits with a name, amperage, and what kind of appliances you are running off that circuit. You can turn on and off each circuit through the app. You can also monitor how much power is being consumed by each circuit. You can create automation so that if the power goes out, it will switch to backup. This also allows you to use the backup system during peak hours from the grid, allowing you to save money when the cost of power is higher. Another really big advantage to the Delta Pro series is that these are portable units. You can use them camping, you can take them to another home, or you can bring them back and forth from your office.
Thank you guys for watching this. If you have any questions, please contact the Satellite Phone Store. We will also be coming out with more videos, so make sure you like and subscribe.
Joy Show. Without further ado, I want to welcome into the Joy Virtual Studio. It has been way too long since we have had the amazing Maria Zeee on the Shannon Joy Show. Of course, you can follow her on the Twit. Her handle is at @Zeee_media. And you can also follow her show on Rumble as well. Maria, welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Great report. You have built an amazing independent reporting site. Love watching your stuff and just breaking news story after news story after news story. What I love about you is you are independent. And just last week, you've been ringing the alarm bell about the push for the expansion of the technocratic surveillance state. But tragically, it's not the Democrats doing the pushing. It's coming The calls are coming from inside the House. Okay. It's the Republicans, Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, and Texas, which is supposed to be a red state. So we're going to get that. We're going to get to that in just a minute. But first, how are you doing? I can't believe it's been so long since you've been back in the Joy studio. We have to make this a regular thing. Let the audience know how you're doing, what you're up to, and where they can find you. And then we'll get into this very important story that conservatives need to be aware of.
First of all, thank you so much for having me back, Shannon. Yes, it's been a while. Definitely have to bring you on our broadcast as well, because I absolutely love your independent thinking. I always have. And Republicans and conservatives need to wake up, quick snap to what's really going on in America. They need to stop looking at these, clickbaity headlines about how great everything is, and stop accepting the gaslighting that's happening, that apparently their costs are down when they continue to go up. This is an absolutely atrocious state of affairs, I have to be honest with you. People can follow me on X, Zeee_media, and also on Rumble, Zeee Media, where we do our daily show with Vigilant Fox on X as well, called Daily Pulse, and it's been going very well, and we're very grateful to be able to be bringing truth to so many people through our daily show. On the topic of digital ID, very, very concerning, Shannon. This is something that has actually already passed in Texas. I wasn't aware at the time that it had passed. It was all as usual. It didn't make major headlines because a lot of people are focused on the fact that they think, everything's so great and we're making America great again. Meanwhile, these building blocks of absolute tyrannical technocracy are advancing quicker than you can blink, really. So the legislation in question in Texas is SB 2420. It's already passed. It comes into effect in January of 2026. I am actually going to make a concerted effort to actually get that repealed now that I'm aware of it. Wow. And I'll be working with some people on that. I'll announce more on that very, very soon. This cannot go ahead. Basically what it is a carbon copy of what's happening in Australia and the UK. And this is what I keep trying to make Americans aware of. When you see certain agendas, you really have to look at how they've been rolled out in other countries to understand how they're going to come here. And so in Australia and the UK, people were told that it was being done under the guise of protecting children from online harms and protecting children from harmful content on social media, the sexualization of children, all of this sort of stuff. And every parent, of course, common sense, of course, we don't want our children looking at that on social media. My argument in response to that, and I'm sorry, but also not sorry if this offends some parents, you should be responsible for what your children view online and what access they have to certain things, not the government. The minute that you hand over parenting responsibility to the government, you're in serious hot water. So the App Store Accountability Act is what a lot of these people are calling it, making it sound like what they're doing is making app stores accountable. And as of January 2026 in Texas, if you are downloading or utilizing an app on the App Store or a Google service, you are required to confirm through age verification that you are 18 or over. If you can't do that, then a parent has to come and give a child, first of all, register that their child is actually their child digitally. Secondly, give their child permission to use that service. Now, people may say, okay, well, I'm fine with that. I'll just, resume control over my children's stuff. How are you supposed to identify or confirm that you're over 18 if you yourself don't submit to biometrics or some form of digital ID verification? And what they do, Shannon, they're so sneaky. They use words like age assurance or age verification software. And what that is actually, you can go, Apple just had a patent granted last year where they can, through constant viewing of your camera on your mobile phone or on your devices, confirm, establish your age. So the camera's constantly going, and if they get your elbow in the shot, for example, they can say, yeah, that looks like the elbow of a 40-year-old, for example, right? So that is that patent was granted to Apple last year. Yeah, it's unbelievable. But what it is a constant assurance of who you are. That is a separate issue to actually forcing you to link your ID, which is coming. So what they did in Australia was they said, okay, we're going to get this age assurance software. It's going to be rolled out by next year, just in time for the social media age ban. And now, in the meantime, they have actually now also confirmed that digital ID will be a method of verification for this. So they're not making digital ID mandatory for social media use. They're making it a method. Meanwhile, age verification is mandatory, which does include 24-hour surveillance of you to make sure that you are the age that is required to use these apps. And that is exactly the type of ambiguous language that's been included not only in the Texas legislation, but now the federal legislation, which, yes, Senator Mike Lee is pushing. It is a very ambiguous language of a third party, unspecified approved third party, the same language that was in the Australian legislation, that will be assessing or confirming your age. So that's the gist of it.
This reminds me, and Maria, you did some of the best reporting in the world during the dark days of lockdown 2020, and also the rollout of Operation Warp Speed. Again, Australia was one of the worst, most draconian, totalitarian lockdown countries on the face of the planet. And they went as far as to detain people, arrest people for not complying with COVID lockdown protocols, and also, pushing of the vaccine. But this reminds me of everything that they said during the Biden administration. They said, we're not mandating COVID-19 shots. We're not mandated COVID-19 vaccines, but you can't go to a football game. You can't go to work. You can't keep a job. They used private partnerships with private universities, private hospital systems, private corporations, and the majority of the coercive measures and the force measures that were rolled out across the country were really never mandates. It was corporations partnering with the governments and tricking people into getting vaccines because they thought that they would not be able to engage in society. They would not be able to buy or sell or work or live unless they subjected their bodies against their will to the shots. This looks exactly the same to me. Now, luckily, we don't have an emergency happening right now, but it looks as if they want to give the illusion that your entire world, online at least, will be taken from you if you do not submit to these digital IDs. And then they will expand that to everything else. Can't get on a bus, can't get on the metro, can't get into work, right? You can't access your health insurance. You can't access Social Security or your payments or your finances unless you submit and offer up this digital ID. Is that your sense? I mean, it seems very similar to me.
Yes, absolutely. It's a continuation of the lockstep documents. Actually, when you read those documents, it says that after the pandemic, governments continued to become increasingly more totalitarian, and this is the trend that we've continued to see. And digital ID is happening in lockstep. You just look at Thailand or Vietnam, for example, millions of people simultaneously having their bank accounts shut off because they didn't submit to what was initially a voluntary digital ID with a cutoff date. That is what happens. And let me tell you, Shannon, as someone who has been debanked for my speech, actually, I can tell you it is a very, very uncomfortable experience, one that would scare most people into submission. Of course, I did not submit, and at the time I was able to get a new bank account because we didn't have a full digital ID system in place. But I warned back then when it happened to me, once a digital ID system is in place, you won't have the chance of getting a new bank. You will just not be allowed to bank until you correct your behavior. I don't know, go do a redemption course about how you're how you're supposed to, brain rewiring course, how you're supposed to think in order to be able to be deemed to have responsibility. But the other problem, Shannon, is that they're also advancing things like universal basic income, universal high income, as Musk calls it. They keep floating this idea. In fact, RFK Jr. has previously spoken about how he thinks a universal basic income will be required because of the fact that more and more industries are going to be destroyed by AI. And so what is happening actually is the simultaneous destruction of private businesses, just as we saw through COVID, people not being able to afford to live. That's getting worse and worse and worse. No one can afford to buy a house. You've got BlackRock doing build to rent, building new homes that will never, ever be allowed to be purchased. They are intended for a generation of renters. So a destruction of personal wealth, simultaneously destroying industries where you can actually go and make money and have independent wealth. No, that's all going to be replaced by AI. So people will be eventually left with the option, the only option, of a universal high or basic income, which will be linked to a digital ID and dependent on your compliance with whatever the system says in order to access that money. That system has accelerated, I would say, significantly over the past few months across every single country, including the United States.
Maria, one of the greatest difficulties that I have witnessed in the past 8 months is a sense of complacency and safety. So many of the people that I stood with in protests across the nation, so many people that built the backbone of the medical freedom movement, which is a freedom movement. You mentioned Bobby Kennedy Jr. not only talking about universal basic income. Just 3 or 4 weeks ago, we reported his testimony in front of Congress making this statement. His mission at HHS is to have every American on a wearable within 4 years. That is biometric surveillance and wearable devices that collect information and collect data from the user, the human. I have found it incredibly difficult to get anyone in the medical freedom movement, anyone within the MAHA movement, to a state of urgency in the same way that we saw when Biden was in office, because they believe they're safe under Trump. And I find that to be, this is why I have to go and hang out with Democrats at No Kings rallies, because there's no one to protest with anymore. I've lost all my people. Like, what the hell? What are your thoughts on that? It's a very tricky place because everyone from the right is saying, oh, Shannon, if you say anything, and if you criticize any of the Republicans, well, then they're not going to win in the midterms and they're going to lose the House and the Senate. And then Trump's not going to get his agenda through. And I'm like, I don't like his agenda. I don't know, what, as an outsider coming in and just like fire hose to your face with American politics, like, what are your thoughts on this pit that we're in where everyone that I talk to on the right, they think that we're in the golden economy, best stock market ever. We're winning. Everyone agrees with them. And I just am not seeing it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it either, Shannon. It's like a spell. It's honestly like a spell has come over people where they've lost their ability to think independently. I don't know. I feel like we have to, again, wake people up from scratch. I can tell you that talking to people on the ground, and of course my circles are almost exclusively conservative, that people are very concerned about a number of different things. Epstein was a huge problem for a lot of people, but are they aware of other things happening in the background? Like, almost no conservatives that I know which consume independent media, but not like they consume mainstream independent media, right? Who is cheerleading until they're blue in the face. So they had no idea about wearables. They had no idea about the fact that, they thought RFK Jr. was cleaning house and all these staff were being fired from the CDC. They had no idea that so many of these leadership roles are actually being filled with Palantir staff. They had no idea that RFK Jr., while he may have canceled some mRNA over here, redirected contracts to AI engineered mRNA and other things of this nature, AI viruses. No, we didn't actually end gain of function research. We actually expanded it. People genuinely have no idea about this, Shannon. I don't know how to bring people back into the state of mind where they're ready to research as deeply as they were during COVID. Maybe it's because they have less free time. Maybe it's because the television tells them everything's all great. I've actually met people who've gone back to watching Fox News. I don't know what to do with these people. I feel like I'm hitting my head against a brick wall, just like you, where I think, what happened? What happened to our critical thinking? What happened to our ability to know, just fundamentally know that the government must be held in check by the people, not the other way around. It doesn't matter who's in power.
Yeah, one of the craziest aspects is the unwillingness to acknowledge that prices are rising in every single aspect of
Yeah.
human life, whether it's energy, gas, housing, food, clothing, college education. It's like in every single aspect. And you just and I think, personally what I saw, and this is what was very eye-opening to me at the No Kings rally, a lot of signs about the economy, a lot of signs about corruption and inflation and the uh, very, very difficult time that regular Americans and small business owners are having right now. It again reminds me of the lockdowns. It's like this weird lockdown, like this economic lockdown and slowdown that is not being blatantly forced upon us, but it's like the gears, everything is just grinding to a halt and slowing down, and no one's doing anything. I'm a small business owner, and expansion, I have no idea if I can. Everything is so chaotic and unpredictable that there's no way I can expand in any meaningful way and actually plan for the future of my business. I can imagine what farmers and small to medium scale manufacturers and restaurant owners and retailers, I don't know how they're even surviving in these conditions, because it's 100% tariff here, then 150% tariff there. The printing, I mean, profligate spending, as far as the eye can see. Your thoughts on my point here is that I think that it might be the economy. I don't know that there's anything other than the economy and like full scale economic pain that can maybe wrench these people out of the sense of false security. But that is frightening in and of itself, because that means there needs to be an event. There needs to be something inflicted upon us that really makes people suffering economically. And I'm really concerned about that. You?
I am equally concerned. As you were talking, I was looking for this clip that I saw this morning, or actually it was posted yesterday. It was on News Nation, and a journalist was asking President Trump, what do you have to say to farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them? Of course, the recent issue with the soybeans, China not purchasing soybeans, then they switched to purchasing them from Argentina, and Trump's giving Argentina a $20 billion bailout, plus the other $20 billion that's coming in from various different sources, which totals $40 billion. But as far as American help, $20 billion. And Trump says, look, Argentina is fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. You understand what that means? They are dying. And, I'm giving you a bit of a roundabout answer here. We were told that Javier Milei was this chainsaw savior that was coming to revolutionize Argentina. From day one, Shannon, from day one, I thought something is up with this guy. And I'll tell you, he betrayed his country on day one. He promised, he ran on ending the green agenda. Then while he was being inaugurated, he sent a representative to the climate conference and told them, no, Argentina's still on board with this. So while he was being inaugurated, he was betraying his country. Okay, later on down the track, he changed his mind. But my point is that we were given so much propaganda around this guy, and I was talking about some things that are really alarming about him, like the fact that his sister went and got training as a medium so he could talk to his dead dog and get political advice from him. Hello, red flags.
Strange.
But anyway, he was going to fix Argentina and fix the economy, and he was saving Argentina, and he's at CPAC with his chainsaw and all of this, and now President Trump is acknowledging Argentina's dying. Well, first of all, I could give a rat's if Argentina is in trouble, if American farmers are facing the worst economic situation that they have in 50 years. Some of them are saying in their entire lives. Who gives a rat's about Javier Milei, who came in and has continued to screw the country, continued to ship their gold to God knows where, sell off private rivers and natural resources to BlackRock? Who gives a rat's? Yeah,
Wow.
who gives a rat's if Argentina is not doing well, if American farmers from a president who purports to be America first are suffering and aren't getting immediate results like Javier Milei is when he needs aid? I mean, this is just, I think the America first approach really needs to be the first approach. Now, sorry, going back to your question, just previously about how do we wake people up to this. I commend you for going to a rally that is not your side holding the rally, purely for the fact that, number one, it's your constitutional right to freedom of speech and protest. Number two, to understand the other side. And number three, to figure out how we actually going to unite people to see what the real problem is, which really, if I can encapsulate it into one statement, Shannon, it's that the Great Reset agenda is being fast-tracked in America, and it's going to steamroll everyone no matter what side you're on. And money is being funneled to all these different countries while Americans continue to suffer. Will a major event happen, a major economic collapse? I think that they're smart enough to keep the illusion going that everything's okay. But I don't know, is it going to take for regular people to get to the point where they can't afford their groceries before they realize? I really don't know, Shannon. What I know is that, you know, foreign leaders, the Serbian president recently said every single country is preparing for war, meaning World War III. He said no one's talking. Diplomatic relations have completely, you know, they're gone. The Middle East is about to erupt again. We have Russia, Ukraine still going. The US is bombing, you know, Venezuela and Colombian, we're told, you know, drug lords, but no one actually is certain of that. And the only two people that are actually standing up for the American people, I say only two, but two of the people standing up for the American people, though I don't agree with them on everything, Thomas Massie and Rand Paul, are being attacked by President Trump. And they are actually America first people, you know, definitely representing the majority more than anyone else. So I say all of this to say I don't know what's going to wake people up, Shannon, but if they don't wake up soon, they will feel the Great Reset. It'll hit them like a freight train. And I would hate nothing more than to see this incredible country go down that path. I had hope that President Trump and RFK Jr. were going to do some things to at least slow it or at least turn things into the other direction. I haven't seen any evidence of it yet, other than closing the borders, which I commend President Trump for, and ending the woke agenda. I also commend him for that. That's a huge problem in society. But in terms of actually stopping crony capitalism of BlackRock, stopping, you know, for example, that Brooke Rollins and you know, we're doing all these press releases about how China's not going to be allowed to buy up US farmland. What about the fact that BlackRock is buying up energy companies and farmland and timber yards and all sorts of stuff everywhere? BlackRock's going to own all of these utilities, and they admit it's for powering up data centers. So, great. China has nefarious purposes. What about BlackRock? Anyway, I could go on for days about all of this, Shannon.
Well, yeah, to your point, Larry Fink has just made a statement that there will, you know, the agenda is the tokenization of all assets. It's basically a bunch of tech. They want everything. They want to own everything. Yep. They want to use tokenization. And I think you are spot on. This is a bipartisan initiative. This is the Republican and Democrat parties working in tandem together. And that is where I see the momentum of this No Kings rally. I hope that more and more conservatives, constitutionalists, and people who love freedom will attend these rallies when they have them and go out there and speak with these people, have these conversations. And if that means appropriate their movement a little bit, I think that we can. I can get behind No Kings, even if I know that some of the organizers are clearly not on my side. There is something there. I mean, you can't turn out millions upon millions of regular people. And I saw these people with my own. I know the people that turned out in my community, and not say that there isn't something bipartisan happening in this country, Democrats and Republicans, that are very frustrated with what is happening in Washington, D.C. Clarion call from Maria Zeee. This is why we love you. Really thankful that your voice is out there right now. You're doing such a great job reporting. Tell everyone how they can support you. Find all of your work. Are you doing a daily show or a multi-week report, or how's that looking? And yeah, just tell people how they can support you and follow you and get access to your reports on a regular basis, because very, very unique what you're doing. There's so few people who are reporting from an independent perspective. Maria, keep it up. And we have your back here on the Shannon Joy Show. And let's continue to get this out there, because, man, we need more like you for sure.
I appreciate it, Shannon. Finally, I just want to say that, I think a lot of Americans have deep concerns about joining something like No Kings. I certainly disagree with many of these people's ideology. What I really want to see is people both on the left and the right waking up to the fact that it's all the same. And the only left and right that really exists is in the people, not in those running the country. They just use that against the people. And so we're always going to have disagreements with people that want to mutilate children. And my argument is that, we can argue about things like taxes after we fix this problem of the Great Reset. People need to en masse wake up to what the Great Reset is, what Agenda 2030 is, and understand that everybody is doing it no matter who they are. And then we can argue about other things after we've stopped that, because let me tell you, once digital ID is in place and all of these things are in place, we won't have the ability to argue whether we're left or right. And that is the problem. We need free speech to be number one. You can find me. I work with the Vigilant Fox on X. We produce a daily show called Daily Pulse. You can watch that on X and also on Rumble, Zeee Media, all one word. And also follow me on X, Zeee_media. Really appreciate you, Shannon. I hope your viewers continue to support you, because your independent mind is needed in this dangerous, dangerous age.
Hey, right back at you. And at some point we'll meet. One day we're going to meet face to face, girl. And hopefully sooner rather than later. Keep up the great work, and thank you for everything that you're doing.
Appreciate it.
All right. There she is, the Maria Zeee. And this is why we love her so much here on the Shannon Joy Show. Again, it's been way too long. Thank you all for being with us. Yes, I see you. CJP Rumble. Love Maria's show. She gets the point across in less than 40 minutes every single day. Great work. Vigilant Fox is a great reporter as well. And yeah, I love her message. And I agree with her 100%. As I mentioned, both political parties in on it, on the Great Reset. It is not D versus R. It is us versus them, the people who have all the power in Washington, D.C., who are working with the oligarchs and the massive global corporations to own everything so that we can have nothing. And no, I promise you're not going to be happy. So the only way that we can defeat these bastards is if we unite with other regular Americans who might happen to have a D behind their name. They might vote Democrat. But that doesn't mean that they can't unite with us, those of us who might have an R behind our names. I have neither. I'm an independent, and I think more and more Americans becoming independent might be one of those cultural clues that enough. We don't need everyone, just a critical mass of people who are going to emancipate from the two-party political system, tell the truth, and stand up for freedom. We're going to have choices to make in the next 18 months. And we have to be prepared to make those choices and stand in truth. So thank you to Maria Zeee. Thank you to TJ for producing the show right here on the Shannon Joy Show. Thank you to all of our sponsors, the folks over at Rocket Dollar. Right now, if you are worried about what is going on within the markets, the fact that 7 massive global tech corporations are dominating all of the gains that we've seen in the stock market over the past 4 to 5 years and are inflating it to a level of bubble that we've never seen before, you might want to consider checking out Rocket Dollar. Go to www.rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy, and you can get an IRA information packet. You can look at all of the easy ways that you can use Rocket Dollar to invest, to pull some of your funds out of your 401k or your IRA, put it into self-directed that you can use to purchase real estate investments, to purchase gold or silver, to get into private equity. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. You set up your account in less than 5 minutes. It's quick and easy. Just go to their website and begin to fill out the necessary forms. Then you fund your account. It's easy to transfer or roll over funds from another custodian. And the folks at Rocket Dollar will guide you through that process, help you coordinate the paperwork, and minimize delays. So depending on your current custodian, the transfers may take several business days or even a few weeks, but it is much easier than most people imagine. And they are ready and standing by to help you in any way imaginable. And step number 3, put your money to work. You can start investing as soon as your account is funded. And with the self-directed IRA, you can invest in a variety of alternative assets outside of what many believe is a corrupt and bloated, inflated stock market dominated predominantly by the tech companies. So you can invest in real estate in your own backyard, right? In your own community. You can invest in private equity or a startup, even precious metals, gold and silver. They have the self-directed gold and silver backed IRAs, which is real gold and silver that is funded through your IRA. These are all ways for you to use your IRA accounts to your benefit and stop partnering with the federal government. So go to rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy. That is rocketdollar.com/Shannon Joy. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for all of your commentary on the SJ live chat right here on Rumble. Make sure that you sign up on my website, theshannonjoy.com, for my daily updates and my daily news or e-blasts so that you never, ever, ever miss a show. You guys are great. Thanks for being with us today. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.